Spoiler alert, Claude built the scraper. So it built my PokerStars tool. And it was pretty amazing. I put the prompt into Claude. I fully expected everything to fail. And it came up with this super interesting strategy. It worked, but I can't deploy this to my team. I can't tell my team, hey, get on this sort of unstable, insecure platform. There's another problem with OpenClaw when it first came out. They may have tightened this stuff up by now, but it was like really insecure. You don't know if your code is being exposed to the world because it is interacting with code that sits on your computer. Um, but this kind of changed everything for our team when I showed them OpenClaw and how it worked. And we noted that like this tool is using the Anthropic tools, the Claude Code tools to do most of the work. So why don't we just investigate that? So we just started investigating like, all right, let's use the Anthropic tools. And at this point, I thought it was ready to hand off to the team. So I authorized the team to do whatever it is that they, saw fit. Take it as far or as not far as you'd like, and let's see where it goes. So we added Claude Code accounts for our development team. At the time, we had 6 developers. So it's a small team, right? So it's fairly agile. We can do what we want to do fairly easily. We can communicate changes with each other easily. So it's a little easier on a small team to make these changes. But even still, like our team used different IDEs, and everybody, was just implementing Claude Code into their IDE at this point. Spoiler alert, Claude built the scraper. So it built my PokerStars tool. And it was pretty amazing. I put the prompt into Claude. I fully expected everything to fail. And it came up with this super interesting strategy. It said, "Well, why don't we build a Windows application or a Mac application, which is essentially a set of Python scripts that run on my computer, and implement something called Tesseract to scrape that PokerStars lobby and get that data because this was really the holdup is scraping that data. And then the other hard part of this was getting the information from payments. So how do we get payments uh, from PayPal and from what's the other payment system that everybody uses?
Straight.
No, hold
Okay.
on. Venmo, yeah,
Carousel.
geez, Venmo. So how do we get those payments in? Well, Venmo had like just shut off their API. I couldn't have an API for Venmo anymore. So how do we do that? Well, when you get a payment, you get an email. So this thing said, why don't we set up a Gmail account where you can forward all of those PayPal and Venmo accounts, and we'll look at that account once a minute, and we'll grab those emails, parse those emails, and apply the payments. And I thought this was like genius. Like I don't know how I would ever thought of that. Probably wouldn't have. But like in 15 minutes, the Sonnet tool, the Claude Sonnet tool, had figured out the complexities of this problem and had developed solutions, which
Wow.
was like super amazing to me. Um, so it built it. I mean, it built the app. I've gone through several iterations, but we go to pokergoon.com. We can see what it's done here. I'll make it light so it's a little easier for
That's
you.
the product, huh? Poker Goon.
Yeah, this is the product. I mean, Claude created this whole thing. I didn't write a single line of code here. It goes out, it scrapes the lobby, it grabs all the players, It figures out what the payouts are going to be. Once the tournament is over, you hit end tournament. It scrapes it again. It allows me to send the payouts. I click on this and it sends a Venmo to the person. It goes and it parses the payments and it applies the payments for each player. And I did not write one single line of code. Again, like I don't even know how to write code anymore.